hard balls. Not really sure about that one. Hey guys, Dan here, and I'm hiding because it's so freaking hot out. It's August 6th, I believe it is. It's like 90 something degrees, and in the sun, it's just scorching. And then trying to film in 4K really heats everything up. So I got you guys in the shade. I'm kind of in the shade, but kind of close. But we're gonna do like a how-to video, and it's gonna be for edging. All right, so we'll get out there, and I'll let you guys see some close-up edging and some tips and tricks and stuff like that. But first, let's just go over the basics of an edger, right? So this we're gonna use, this is a stick edger, and I don't remember what the 50 something, it's the FC56C. So I'm not really doing a review video of this, so I don't really have all the specs and everything and the stats for this, but it's pretty nice. It's a nice steel homeowner model. You know that by the colors. So when you see the gray like this with the orange, it's the homeowner model. It's not meant for heavy use, but it does a good job for, you know, what little bit that it's used. Even in a small business, it's only used for a few minutes each yard. That's I'll demonstrate in a little while. But what we should do is probably go over the basics. Although engines might change from brand to brand and model to model, but the meat and potatoes, where the rubber hits the road, literally, really doesn't. And whether you're using a knockoff, no-name brand from a big box store, or if you're using a Steel, an Echo, a Husqvarna, a Red Max, whatever, they're all basically going to have the same setups. And what you're going to have here is a nice blade, okay, about 7.5 to 8 inches long. It's going to have the 1-inch bore, and they're usually unpainted. Sometimes some places will paint them, but most of the time they're just an unpainted steel stock blade. And I link to those actually, where you can buy them for a little bit less than $2 a blade when you buy them at 25. You save a lot of money. So check the link. It goes to Amazon. And I've been using those blades and linking to those blades for a really long time. Again, I think they're 7 3/4 long. They're nice and thick, so they last. They got the 1-inch bore, and that's going to be standard on just about every edger, unless you start getting into like those electric edgers and stuff like that. Those are slightly different setup, but for gas one, yeah. All right, so you got your blade, right? The blade's going to spin this way, okay? And that's nice because it kind of like makes it self-propelled as you get it in the crack of the grass in the driveway or sidewalk. Kind of helps kind of pull you along. So you got to be ready for that, right? But also you got the shield, okay? So the shield, you definitely never want to take this shield off, okay? This shield's going to protect you, the user, from the blade bringing the debris back. That's why I'm noting that the blade goes this way, and it's going to kick the debris back on you really bad. So you definitely want this shield. Most edgers are going to have a mud flap. Leave that mud flap, okay? I can't tell you how important it is. Leave that mud flap. It's going to get a lot of the debris as well, and it's going to drag on the ground. Now, some people take off the wheel, okay? I don't take the wheel off because the wheel is one more way that when this is spinning, it's one more way that it helps catch debris and keep it from hitting me, you know, as I'm using the machine. Now the wheel, as you see, has a wing nut here. You can loosen this up and you can slide the wheel down. And what that does is it puts the wheel on the ground, and you can actually just roll this along and just keep the blade lined up. And I'll demonstrate that as well. But when you get a little bit better and you get more used to it, you will find that the wheel is actually going to be in your way. And so you're going to want to bring the wheel all the way up, and you see it slides. Okay, you got this slide right here. So you're going to want to loosen the wing nut on this side, slide this all the way up, and then tighten it down. So that way the wheel is blocking debris, but it's not driving the head. Because what'll happen is, as you're as you're edging along and you hit bumps and stuff, the blade comes out and you don't have positive control of the handle because you're pretty much just rolling along. And then, you know, and you see that's not good. You really want to be like this, and you just line up the blade and you go. And that's how I edge. And, you know, once you get to a point where the yard is edged regularly, you can pretty much just edge like this with one hand if you want. I mean, I don't recommend it, and I probably have some videos where I've done it, but you know, it's not actually the safest way to do it. But you got this hand right here, and this hand controls the blade and it keeps it in the crack between the grass and your concrete or your driveway or whatever. All right, so you got your blade, your shield, your mud flap, and your wheel. Now you have, in this model, you have a curve shaft. All right, pretty nice. Keeps the blade a little bit over that way. Gives your feet a little bit more room to clear. I've also used for many years the straight shaft that that Steel offers. I liked it a lot. It was really nice. And the thing about the straight shaft, it has a huge gearbox and it spins the blade slower. So where you think you're going to get hammered with debris because the blade is now more closer to your feet, it's actually kicking up a lot less, but it has a lot more power and it just continues to cut right through. It's really nice. It's really nice. These you wind up and they make a little bit more of a mess, but they're offset. So there you go, right? You got your handle here for your left hand. Now, if you're righty, good luck, because you're standing right in it. You're literally standing right in it. So I don't recommend it this way. Definitely recommend holding it like this. Left hand on the forward handle, right hand on the, on the trigger. That's how I recommend it, okay? So you got your shaft, you got your handle here, and then like most brands, you're gonna have your throttle. This one has a throttle lock. Most brands have throttle locks. Now you have your kill, and then you have your engine, all right? So depending on what brand model you have, depends on the engine and its starting procedures. Some are 4-stroke, some are 2-stroke, all right? This is a 2-stroke. So that's the basics of an edger, of a stick edger, okay? Not really much to it. The whole purpose of edging is to put that blade in the crack between the grass and the concrete. That's your target. That's what you're looking for, okay? Now you want to keep that blade, as you see, like right here, I'm in, okay? And that blade will keep the machine from bouncing out, and you just kind of hold it up and you just go. Now if you're using the wheel, that's fine. You can run the wheel, drop your arm down and line it up and just try to stay with it. But in time, you'll realize it's better to just let the blade will keep the head up as it's spinning fast, and it'll float, and you just steer it right on through, okay? Now, a pro point that I'd like to show you, when you're edging and you're about to go like this, right, to get this started and go that way, you got to be really careful of the mud and the dirt and everything going back here and damaging your customers or your own property. So what you would do in this situation is stand on the grass, and then you would edge it this way for a little bit to give you some room. Maybe one concrete block to like right here, and edge it on the grass this way. If you try doing that with the wheel, then the wheel's going to be on the grass, and chances are the blade won't even make it into the crack. So that's another reason why I keep the wheel up. So again, don't start like this, because you're going to put mud all over your client's stuff. Just right here, come on back, forward, forward. Okay, so that was one pro tip. The other pro tip is be super mindful of what's behind you a good 5 to 10 feet, because you could kick up dirt, rocks, sand, or mud, especially mud if it's raining out. So you got a nice, beautiful white garage door. So you definitely don't want to pepper that. So you want to be really careful. One thing that you can do is when you put it in the crack and you go to throttle up, you can kind of go like this with your foot and your heel and help provide a shield, an additional shield, okay? Or low throttle, but you definitely want to be mindful of that back there. If you're really worried about it, then turn around just like you did over there. Turn around and come up the driveway a few feet. Buy yourself some room, then spin it around and do it. When I edge, it looks effortless because I've been doing it for decades. But it's not effortless. It's a skill, and I've been doing it for decades. Every moment that you're using a stick edger, you need to be paying attention to what you're doing. You need to be steering that blade to keep it in the crack safely so it doesn't come out and across the concrete or across the Chattahoochee If they got Chattahoochee sidewalks, you really need to be careful. In that case, maybe use a stick weed eater instead. If you're edging along pavers and stuff like that, super careful, right? So you need to be really cautious of that. That's just stuff to think about. So we'll go ahead and fire this up, and then I'm going to do a live demonstration. All right, guys, let's go ahead and do a cold start. This is the Stihl FC56, and we're getting ready to do our demo. So on-off switch is spring-loaded, back to the on position. Prime it up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ball gets kind of hard balls. Not really sure about that one. And give it some choke. And then, now I want you to pay attention to what I just did there. If you have to rewind it, hit the back of your device, hit the left screen on your device 2 times, pop up like that, and it'll go back like 20 seconds or something. When I fired it up, I didn't throttle it hard because the blade will spin and bounce and damage the driveway. It'll also wear down the blade, and it'll also put unnecessary wear and tear on the gearbox. So be careful when you fire it up. You just like that until you can lift it up and then get things situated. Okay guys, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to edge a few feet with the wheel on the ground. Okay, then I'm going to stop. I'm going to take the wheel and put the wheel back up in the stowed and upright position. And then I'm going to edge with the wheel not making contact so you can see the difference. First, wheel on the ground. So with the wheel on the ground, I find that it's harder for me to get any depth in the grass. I only have it like halfway down, so it kind of will force you to change your blade sooner as well. I don't feel like I have good control. I feel like the wheel's trying to drive the head. And that's why I was saying, while you start to get used to edging, that's fine and all, but you're pretty quickly going to want to get the wheel up, because once you get the wheel up, you'll be moving along a lot faster. That's going to come with experience, and when you're ready to do that, then you should do that. Now that was a much cleaner edge. It put the blade deeper and it gave me a lot more control, and I could walk a lot faster. And I wasn't sandbagging the video, putting the wheel down and, you know, sandbagging the results. It doesn't make a difference to me, wheel down or wheel up, what, you know, you guys do. But that was an honest comparison. And the wheel up and out of the way, use it just as a shield, is what works for me. And so now I'll just scoot right on up. You guys can watch how effortless it is. It makes a nice difference when you put a nice clean edge on. So now this yard was edged just not even a week ago, I think 6 days ago. And then that's not edged. So it makes a nice difference. And if you can imagine 2 weeks of growth, it's a huge difference. Okay, so I already demonstrated this, so I'm going to knock this out real fast. But when I'm coming down here, I want you to notice my left hand. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be angling the head, the gearbox. And the point of that is you can actually take your blade and you can lay your blade over. And when you lay your blade over, it helps with some of the straggler grass that's coming over. So when you're edging, you don't want the head to be this way, because all you're doing is hitting the crack of the grass, but you're not actually edging the grass. So you want it to be a nice block. And sometimes to have a nice block, when you do this commercially, you want to have your head angled a little bit this way. So when you go by, when the grass kind of like stands back up, it stands up flat. Perfect square edge. That's what you're shooting for, is that perfect square 90. Now I'm not too worried about the garage door because, well, for one, it's my house, and for two, it hasn't rained, and I'm going to keep the power low for a little bit. But now watch the angle of the head. Right now it's leaning this way, and then I can lean it back this way. And hopefully that'll show on camera. But you should be able to see nice edge. Then it gets kind of straggly a little bit right there. And then nice edge. So hopefully that shows. Yeah, you could see it right here. So you can see nice edge, then straggly, and then nice edge. And so that's why you want to keep the head angled this way. So I'll go back and clean that up now. That's a rookie mistake that a lot of new people make. And then I'll show you one more point. Okay, so one more pro tip for the purpose of this video, because this is a how-to video, but it's not just for homeowners, but it's also for some of you landscapers that are out there. Maybe you're a pressure washer and you want to start cutting grass, or maybe you've never edged with an edger before and you want to start edging with an edger instead of a weed eater. Sometimes there's cars all up in the driveway and you can't edge a driveway like I just did. So what do? Walk the grass and edge backwards, just like I edged there. And so to do that, you definitely want the wheel up out of your way, and you're gonna walk the grass, and you're gonna walk the grass with the blade. Same thing. Same principle applies. Don't overdo the power. Make sure you're staying lined up. Have good control and lean it against the grass. Don't lean it against the driveway. Don't lean it this way if you're on the grass. Now you're going to lean it back this way, okay? So I'm going to demonstrate that, and then that'll be a wrap, guys. So we'll just pretend there's cars all on the driveway. No, we won't, because I want you to see that there's no difference. So right here, there's a car right here. Okay, so we cleared the car. So now what are we going to do over here? We're going to edge it normal. Now the goal is to make sure that when you edged, you didn't rip the customer off just because their car's in the way. You still got to do your job. I know they should move their cars. Well, sometimes they don't. They're not home. Sometimes you're late, or sometimes you're early. Either way, the car's there and you need to do your job. When you leave, you need to make sure that everything looks edged proper. And so let's take a look. Okay. So when you look down this line, can you tell a difference from edging on the grass and leaning the blade this way, and edging on the driveway and leaning the blade this way, or I'm sorry, that way into the grass? There's no difference. It's fantastic. And that is, I guess, one of the biggest things is you need to be able to overcome all little obstacles that might happen, especially in a business. So hopefully that helps you guys out with the basics of edging, what to look for with the shield, the mud flap, the wheel. Use the wheel, don't use the wheel, and mud control, and peppering a house. throwing rocks, all that sort of stuff. You need to be careful, okay? Edgers can be very dangerous. Edging with a weed eater is 10 times more dangerous because that shield really does nothing for anything behind you. So as you're weed eating along and you hit a rock that's in the crack, that thing's flying 1,000 miles an hour. So edgers are much more safer because of the shield, the mud flap, and the wheel, and then you. And I'd rather put a Band-Aid on my shin than pay $600 or $700 for a window pane. So hopefully that helps you guys out. One more thing about stick edging. I'll show you guys something else that you can do with a stick edger. Landscape stuff, right? You got different things in your yard. Maybe you got wood or you got rock or something. If you can put your blade in it, you can clean it up and make it look nice. You can do this with the weed eater. You can do this with the edger. It's up to you if you want to put the blade against the grass or the blade against the you know, whatever you're edging. And you can do that to everything. All right, guys, there's one more thing that I got to do, and if you don't do it, then you're not a landscaper. You're not a pro. No, I'm just kidding. You got to do this, guys. It's so important. The street, you got to edge your street. Look at the difference between my yard and the neighbor's yard who doesn't edge the street. No. And that's a wrap, guys. I really appreciate you hanging out with me, learning a little bit something. And hey, you got something, leave it in the comment section and we'll address it in the next video. Something, you know, any questions or anything like that. Remember the edger blades, I linked to them. They're awesome, less than $2 each. They're like $8 for a 2-pack at Home Depot. I got a link, you can get them, 25 blades, it'll last you freaking a lifetime if you're a homeowner. Less than $2 a blade. All right, so thank you guys so much. And I'll see you on the next one.